This is becoming weird. That's just the way I look at it. And Patrick Mahomes is the lightning rod, and we're here back on WEEI Afternoons with Andy Hart, Nick Fitzy-Stevens, and Ted Johnson. Patrick Mahomes is the lightning rod because he's the best player on the best team and all of that. Josh Allen has weird plays where he flops and he tries to sell things on the sideline.
Oh, not like Mahomes, though.
No, see, and I agree with you, but that's the perception. And, I mean, you know who I thought was one of the worst at it? I thought Mac Jones was one of the worst at it. He used to try to sell everything. He would do the Mahomes slow down on the sideline and brace so you can hit me and hit me here.
I just thought he was that slow.
No, he tried to do it.
You're right. How many calls did he get?
None. Because he didn't reach the level.
Because he's Mac
100%.
Jones.
And in fact, if anything, he was kind of a cheap dink about stuff like with Brian Burns and who was that? Eli Apple, who he tried to take out.
Him in the,
He was a dirty player. But the reality is, part of playing quarterback now is thinking about stealing plays, right? In a certain way. Even going back to the Kenny Pickett fake slide when he was at Pitt, and then they banned the fake slide because he started to go down, and then he kept right on running, ran by a guy probably like you, who was like, oh, I'm not going to kill you, you're sliding, and now you get to run by me and embarrass me and score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I actually thought Brady did it to Brian Urlacher back in the day. I thought Urlacher was going to go easy on him, and Brady took advantage.
Yeah, I remember that. That wasn't unbelievable, but I think he just. I don't know if he just got lucky on the.
And he may have.
But I think what I like about Troy saying that it feels like Mahomes is just taking advantage of the rules and taking advantage of how refs call games when he's the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't feel right. I mean, if you didn't watch that game, guys. And think the same thing Troy Aikman thought, then I don't know if I can talk sports with you because it felt – and those were – so the Willie Anderson hit to the helmet that when they slowed it down in replay, he did – in real time it looked like –
Absolutely.
But if you look at it when they slowed it down, you also saw Patrick Mahomes embellish his head like it was going backwards to make it look in real time like it was a real helmet. And they're told that even if it looks like helmet to helmet, even though it might not be – still call the flag. The next play was a big gainer to Travis Kelce. Mm-hmm. It was a huge momentum call.
Right.
And so, look, when Troy Aikman is kind of had enough and he's calling out the refs, then I feel like if you're gonna whining about it, then I think you got some issues because clearly I think the rules are different for Patrick Mahomes than they are other quarterbacks.
I would say yes to some degree, but that's been going on forever too. I always thought Cam Newton got killed. I thought Cam Newton, for whatever reason, I don't know whether it was size, I don't know whether it was race or the way he played, because he did kind of play like a fullback. There were all those
he had lower shoulders.
But he's still a quarterback when he stands in the pocket, and he didn't get the protections that other quarterbacks got. So they've always kind of picked and choosed who they give the stars get the calls in all sports.
But what quarterback other than Mac Jones does what Patrick Mahomes does? Looks for opportunities to embellish, to take advantage of
my guy Josh Allen.
Like Patrick Mahomes does?
Absolutely. If you watch, there's times where a guy will touch him and he does what you're talking about. Throw the head back and flail.
Someone did it this weekend that was particularly egregious. That wasn't Mahomes. All right, so someone who's watching right now on Twitch, twitch.tv/Boston WEEI, K Gabriel 317 says, how about the idea that flopping could be something that could be reviewed as well?
I love it.
Embellishment in hockey, right? You got embellishment.
Well, they have it in the NBA now.
Right.
Like if a guy flops or, actually, they're supposedly now in the NBA, you don't see as much as I was hoping, they can call a penalty on the guy that flops.
Right.
Sure. I want the NFL to start doing that. I think that would be a good thing.
But the problem you have is, and I'm not arguing necessarily, it feels like I'm arguing against you, Ted. I'm not necessarily arguing for Patrick Mahomes' style of play because I hate it. But the reality is they're going to protect quarterbacks because they're the cash cows, right? Like they're the superstars, and we all see these teams that we lose interest in when the backup quarterback comes in, right? Like you want star quarterbacks on the field. So the league starts with, I think, that mentality. How do we protect quarterbacks? How do we keep quarterbacks safe? How do we keep quarterbacks on the field? And in doing so, you open up the loophole that you're talking about. You open up quarterback's ability to take advantage of their protected status, I guess is how I'd say it.
Yeah, I guess I just
and I get your pain because
and I don't mind protecting quarterbacks. I get it. Like, look, we want to see good quarterback play, but I don't like quarterbacks that take advantage of those rules.
But they all do.
I don't know. Maybe
Brady did. Do you remember? You might not remember this, and I don't know what year because I don't have a great memory either for whatever reason. Ray Lewis was called for a flag, and he didn't even really graze Brady, but Brady went down and did the look to the ref, like
very different
flail.
That was
different.
fall of 2010
because it's after the play. He wants the flag. You know how many times Peyton did that?
Right. But that's my point. They all find ways to do it.
After the play's done, they're bitching to the refs about why didn't you call that a penalty? I'm talking about the guys in the moment of the play. They are trying to contort their body in a way that, embellish the hit and try and draw a flag. Like soccer players all the time are like falling down, acting like they're getting tripped in the offensive zone so that they get a free penalty kick. That's what these quarterbacks are doing, and I don't like that part.
And we get where you have your biases because, well, to be honest, you're a middle linebacker.
but you can say I'm biased, but then Troy Aikman, who played quarterback position, is also
he's just tired of seeing the game played a particular way that he doesn't believe is necessarily fair to all parties.
And it's not fair. It's already a hard game for the defensive players, and then you make it even harder when you call those BS calls against those phantom hits.
The worst is that run down the sideline.
No, he doesn't.
That's the part. If you told me that Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders is trying to do this, I'd be like,
wow.
Dude's got 3 wins. He's trying to get a 4th win somehow. This is a guy that's going to win 15 games every year, Patrick Mahomes. 15 games. He's going to go to the Super Bowl. He doesn't need to be doing this, but then some would argue that he's almost Belichickian. He's going to look for any loophole, any advantage. If he can get a 1% advantage by slowing down on the sideline and he gets one 15-yard penalty, that might be the hidden yards. We heard all these words from Bill for years. Those might be the hidden yards that he looks at as that could decide my season, my game, my Super Bowl count total, my rings. But my question, how do you fix it? How do you take stop the direction that it's trending with quarterbacks in general? I'll tell you, my son's done it. Was a high school quarterback. Like, I'm on the far side of the field. It's like, wow, that kid really threw you down out of bounds. And he's like, yeah, he gave me a little tug, and I may have went with it a little bit. You know why? Because he's like, if I get 15 yards here, we're not on midfield anymore. We're on the 35. This is pervasive in quarterback play, pros, college, and high school. You see it everywhere. So how do you fix it?
Call penalties.
But what's the penalty? There's no such penalty.
There's no penalty. You create one.
There's actually no penalty for Patrick Mahomes stopping on the sideline. He has every right in the world, if he wants to, stop on the sideline.
You have to adjust the rule.
Or not even make it a penalty, make it reviewable, and then just pick up the flag. There's no penalty. It's just it's reviewable. You go back, you look at it, you slow it down, you realize that he embellished, and you go, you know what? We threw the flag. We're picking the flag up. So there's no penalty. It's just you go on to the next play.
And that's my thing, because I've been an advocate. I've gotten into a big fight with Christian in the previous version of this show, Christian Arcan. I said from day one, quarterbacks shouldn't slide. Put yourself in harm's way. When you do the late slide, the Ted Johnson of the world is already an object in motion. Yeah. And science says he can't stop.
Especially when I've left my feet.
Right. And so we're a yard and a half, 2 yards away. Yeah. I'm going to hit you. Oh, you slide late. Nothing I can do. And I think quarterbacks, it's dumb. So quarterbacks, I think, need to take some sort of a responsibility for the way they carry themselves. And if I'm a ref and I believe you're sliding late intentionally, or I believe you're embellishing, I'm just not going to call it. But I need support from the league. I can't have them, downgrading me as an official so I don't get certain games. You need to let the refs. I've always said unnecessary roughness should be the most important penalty in football. Whatever a ref deems, I don't need him to say, well, the rule states that if you take 1.5 steps more than, if the ref who's standing 3 feet from the play says, that was unnecessary. We don't need that in our game. We're asking our game not to have unnecessary roughness. Give him the ability to make that call. Like, you pay these guys a boatload of money to control the game, right? Like, you pay on every one of these guys $250K a year, whole crew of them. Let them actually adjudicate the play.